I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience of being in a relationship with a woman who actually loves to spend time in the kitchen and loves to cook for me. She's the type of woman that tells me to sit down at the table and not do anything. It's like, just stay there, stay put, and I will bring you all the food. And then she brings me all the food and drinks and everything and takes care of me and tells me to eat well and smiles at me. And that obviously has made me think about these sort of fantasies that you see around on the internet about how some guys kind of wish that we could go back in time to, let's say, 1950s, where in the US a lot more women tended to stay at home and cook for their husbands, and the husbands were actually able to provide for the wives and for the family. And that was the, what do they call it, nuclear family or something, the family units. It's made me think about that a lot, and it's made me realize that while there is, this minority of men out there who do want to take away things from women, who want to take away power, whatever, want to take away rights from women and freedoms. There's like this small minority out there of guys who literally just want women to not be free and all this nonsense, but that's a minority. Most guys are reasonable guys, and it's just the problem of the internet that people think otherwise. It's the manosphere, as it is called, does not consist of evil incels. That's not what it is. The guys who dream about going back in time to where men felt like they had a purpose, where men felt like they are needed and respected. And also these women in the kitchen aspect that I started this video with. You know why I love it so much that my girlfriend loves to be in the kitchen and cook for me? When my girlfriend cooks for me, I feel loved. I feel taken care of. For example, today, I was making some firewood today. And my girlfriend does not live with me because she has a job in another city. So she has a small apartment in the city, and I live here in the countryside, and I make the firewood for the winter, and I take care of, she has most of her stuff here in my house at this point, but I can't provide for both of us. And she can't really find a job in this small, tiny town that I live in because she can't work remotely like I can. So my dream would actually be that I would be able to provide for her, because she would love to just stay home and take care of the garden and the house, do cleaning, cook food for me. And at that point, if we had enough resources to do that, we would probably have a kid. Maybe, maybe we would. Because for me, that's the biggest reason why I'm not having kids currently. It's financially almost impossible. It's not exactly impossible. I know it's a bit of an excuse, but it's really difficult financially to have a child in Finland, at least. So anyway, why I love my girlfriend being in the kitchen is not because it makes me feel more dominant. It's because it makes me feel like I worked my ass off the whole week. I have a job, and then I take care of the physical things at home, and then I have some projects on the side because I hope I will have more opportunities and or money in the future by making progress with those projects. So when I've done all that, there's almost nothing better in this world than sitting down at the table and having my girlfriend, the woman I love, cook something delicious for me and smile at me and just look so, she looks like an angel when she does that. And I think that's what most men want. And that's the biggest reason why guys want a trad wife. Obviously, there's a lot of men out there who love to cook. It doesn't have to be, the dynamic doesn't have to be exactly that the woman cooks and you never freaking cook. My dad, for example, has always made like 90% of the food in our household when I was a kid. My dad was the one who did the cooking. And then you might ask, well, what did the mom do? Well, the mom took really good care of us. 4 children, and my mom took good freaking care of us. And she took care of the garden, and she took care of the laundry and cleaning. So there was a really clear split between chores, nevertheless. But anyway, I listened to a podcast called Diary of a CEO, and the host had 3 guests. One guest was a modern feminist, and the 2 other guests were kind of against the modern feminism, you could say. And it was interesting that the modern feminists' concerns were that the conservatives and the guys in the manosphere try to take away women's right to vote, which I know I have seen comments about, partly because right now in Europe, for example, the immigration stuff in the UK, for example, where there's been these foreign gangs of mostly Muslims who have, abused and groomed young girls for decades. And a lot of guys are, in my experience, more able to vote against immigration that is based on kind of humanitarian help and sympathy, because women tend to be more empathetic, right? Women tend to think more with their feelings, generally speaking. I know there's a lot of crybaby guys who always lash out with their emotions, so it's not just women being emotional, but in any case, in general. So I feel like the men who say that women shouldn't have right to vote, well, I think that's taking it way too far, in my opinion. We should just educate people and talk about things. But I think those guys are just frustrated that women make decisions that are based on emotion and ideology, even though you can make the case that men do the same. But that's just what I think. That's just my theory why those guys would, want that. But anyway, that woman in the podcast was actually an example of such women, because most of her points in the podcast were based on her experience and her feelings, rather than being based on research and facts. I think one of the only good points she made was that there are still expectations on women that are not on a equal level with men. So when we talk about equality between the genders, the sexes, she said that she made this example. So the host of the podcast is a millionaire, and she asked if he would be okay with stopping his work right now, stop working right now, and take care of your child for 1 or 2 years. And the host said he wouldn't be able to do that. He would feel like shit about, leaving his companies and his work. And the modern feminist type made this good point that if a woman said the same, if a woman says, no, I'm not going to take care of my kid, I'm going to take care of my business, that woman would be judged for it way more harshly than the guy. When I say it was a good point, I think it was a good thing to bring up, but then I think that gets back to the point I was making, that women and men are fundamentally different, and that's the reason why we would judge women more than we would judge a man in that situation, because the fact is a baby needs their mother in the first couple of years, way more than the baby needs the man, the father. So it's based on actual biological differences and facts. It's not that we judge women just for fun. It's based on facts and our differences. So in any case, I don't want this video to be too long. I think perhaps the next video is also going to be about feminism, because there's still a couple of things I want to say, but I don't want to say too much here. And also the grill is now hot, so I actually am busy turning and flipping the sausages and everything. So thanks for watching this one, and remember to subscribe if you want to hear more about kind of this ordinary guys, ordinary opinions on the modern issues and relationships and feminism and all this bullshit. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Hell yeah.